to Eclipse Games, the podcast where we bring you the latest in gaming news, indie reviews, and everything else under the sun. My name is Kendall, and I'm here with my co-host,
Tony, aka Bruno Mars Bar.
You know what? It was simple, it was effective, it's straightforward, and I'm not mad at it.
It felt good as I was thinking about it.
That's some old school shit. It felt like a classic, and it just happened today. I'm not mad at it. But we are back again, man. Back for episode 49. We are close to that 50 mark, man. We're rolling right along with these. Just kind of appreciate you guys for being here throughout this journey and continuing to watch and rock with us, man, because we love making this content. And it seems like every week something happens that's worth talking about. So we're going to keep that going with this week's topic, which is kind of just vaguely around exclusive games and what those mean, how they affect the industry, and if we still need them. As you guys probably know, Microsoft had their big meeting, whatever you want to call it, podcast, business announcement, whatever you want to frame it as.
A whole lot of nothing. That's what I want to frame it.
Yeah, it could have been a quick email type vibes, but they had it. But it did announce that about 4 games are being planned to come to other consoles like PS5, Nintendo Switch. They didn't specify the games, which is like one of the disappointing things. But a lot of speculation to kind of tell you what people think it's going to be. Stuff like Sea of Thieves, Grounded, they framed it as games that, yeah, Hi-Fi Rush was a big one as well. And Pentiment also is another one. If you haven't heard of Pentiment, indie darling, I'm not sure how I think it was made by Obsidian, actually. So not indie at all, but kind of that vibe of indie darling. But it took the world by storm a little bit. So those are games that they framed as having run their course on Xbox to some degree. Like, they said that there were games that reached their maximum potential or games that they felt like were sleeper hits that more people need to see. So that's kind of the logic behind it, bringing them to other platforms, which I get. That makes perfect sense. But it raises an interesting question about exclusive games, like their place, what they're bringing to the table, how much value they're adding, and why they're adding that value, how much we need them, what they need to be, how long they need to be exclusive. All that stuff can be raised by this conversation. I want to start with, do you think that the industry still needs exclusives? Like, I know we'd like to have exclusive games, but do you think we need them?
Yeah. Like that the easy answer is yeah, because if there are no exclusive games, then gaming just turns into an absolute hellscape. I mean, you consider it's a matter of a business perspective from the consumer side. And it's going to sound weird, but if you look at the way the cell phone market is, like Androids are popular to an extent. Like, you see a lot of people with Galaxies, like Samsung Galaxies is really, I mean, to me, they actually a better phone. But
I can
you
see
talk
both
about the
sides.
iPhone ecosystem, and that shit is different. It's
Yeah.
almost like a monopoly. It's almost an exclusivity thing in itself, which is why they
100%.
can charge dumbass prices for shit like the Apple Vision Pro, and it can go for $3,500.
Now, I'm not going to shit on them too much for that junk myself, because that's a product that's not for you and me to just go pick up and buy. That's like,
No,
oh,
it's
if you want to
not. But
be, you know, if you're an early
nah, it's
adopter,
not.
that's for
But the
your
thing
type
with
of
it
crowd.
is, yeah, the thing with it is that because there's just two, and one of them, name recognition wise, is bigger than the other one, they're always going to be looked at as the more popular one. They're always going to be able to set their prices ridiculously. Even the phones are stupid expensive. I mean, they tried to cut back with some of the recent models, but not like a whole bunch. So if you look at it in gaming and there's only there's 3 consoles, but all the games come to everything, what's stopping anybody from jacking the price up of their shit? Because you might as well not even have 3 consoles.
Yeah, I mean, you're
At that
not
point,
going to.
everybody might as well just come together and go, we're gonna make one big super console and we're gonna charge $1,000 for it.
And frankly, I would be in a great place if Sony was like, we're gonna make the box, Nintendo, you make the handheld, and Xbox, y'all make the subscription service. Like, I'd be so good with that. Like, you play you
It
stream
would,
them
but it'd
all.
still be expensive as fuck.
Now that's the other side of the coin. Like, you have all this, I don't want to call it collusion or anything crazy like that, but you have everybody kind of working in sync. And that does lead to, basically, you don't want to go again the Netflix Hulu route where, you know you can start hiking up prices when you start throwing everything on everything. Like they have their exclusive stuff. Like you get Hulu for The Bear, Netflix for Avatar, whatever, Castlevania, Stranger Things. But they just kind of everything is everything right now, and it's all a big mess. And people just start hiking their prices up without you really knowing if you're getting more for your bang, more bang for your buck. Like I couldn't tell you if Netflix is adding more new shows than they were before they raised the price to $20. All I know is that the price
They're
is
not.
$20. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, right. In fact, I can tell you they're probably not. But, same goes for like HBO Max. Look at the whole Max rebrand. And I could sit on the soapbox and talk about this shit. But the way that they rebranded that fucking whole platform, that was like, I loved what HBO Max was doing. And what, HBO was always just HBO. You know what that means. But they rebranded and it meant nothing. They just started stripping shit away.
Nothing.
You added nothing. You literally started canceling things. I associate Max versus HBO Max with having less and doing less and not having a direction and just losing every shit. I honestly like it tanked the brand for me. So when you start to kind of muddy the waters on what you're getting from each platform, I can definitely see how that can cause people just start doing whatever they want to. If PlayStation is, but I feel like the argument is usually the opposite side of that, right? Like where if PlayStation's got all the exclusive shit, they can start doing $700, $800, you know, consoles if they want to. That's if Xbox is, that's not if we're all going the way of like everybody being on everybody's platform. That's if Xbox stops having exclusives and you can get everything through one console. So I don't know. I feel like there's an interesting gray area where maybe if they were all kind of working in sync, that would kind of lessen that need. Like this is just a box. Like either you're gonna buy it or you're not.
So say I think the thing that the muddies the water in the conversation is the fact that everybody's buying up studios.
Mm,
Because if you look at it from a perspective, when you're looking at exclusivity from a perspective of Microsoft has Halo, Gears of War, Sony has Uncharted, Last of Us, and I'm just going to pick two for each one. You have to go to that box to get that game.
right. Nintendo, of
So
course, has
there
Pikmin and
is,
ARMS, but
yeah, there's like incentive on each of those three ends to make the best possible version of whatever it is that they do to make people buy their shit, which in turn means we can't make the box cost $600
right.
because people aren't going to buy our shit. That's how the Sony learned that the hard way with the PS3.
Yeah,
That's not going to work.
yeah, that did happen.
So they have to find some balance between we got to make money off this thing and we got to be consumer friendly and we also have to deliver the games.
Mm.
If any piece of that is taken away, or any two pieces of that is taken away, there's no incentive for them to really push. That's the issue people have with Madden. We ain't got no more 2K. Now we just got ain't no incentive for these motherfuckers to really. Franchise mode been shit for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, that does happen when you have no competition. It's just a weird space where I don't think people are going to buy the PlayStation because it's not a thing where I want it because it's a PlayStation. Like it's got to have those bangers and it's got to be reason. Like I don't know. I feel like the game market is already so goddamn expensive. Like this is already such an investment that you're gonna
Man,
have to mitigate them costs in some way. Like I dropped 500 on this fucking box and I need that
that
investment to
show me
pay
something.
off. Yeah, like you're not in a position to start inflating right now. But
Nah,
but I mean, hey, it's a weird time of change. Like things are starting to kind of get blurred a little more and more. And I'll say this, the games that Xbox talked about sound perfect for this. Like Sea of Thieves on PlayStation sounds like a slam dunk to me, and so does Hi-Fi Rush on the Switch. Like those are two in particular that just sound like they fit really well in my eyes.
Hi-Fi Rush sounds like it should have been a Switch exclusive in the first place.
In the first place, and the fact that it was an Xbox exclusive actually was very cool to me. I like that a lot, just being something so different for them. But I'll take it for as many people as can play it as possible. Like I'm not one of those people that wants to see
Yeah,
anybody gay cab. Like please don't be on a soapbox talking about you know, this console is better than that console because of this. Because at the end of the day, they are boxes. They all doing the same shit. It's a lot like the phones. Like you said, I'll tell you this. I work in the cell phone industry. That's what I do every day. I fix the motherfuckers. So I get to see the ins and outs of phones. It's like I'm a phone surgeon. I understand phones very well. They're the fucking same. They're not that different. The The basic premise
Coke and
is
Pepsi,
what
nigga.
you man, I'm telling you, like one's a little sweeter, one's a little sharper, whatever. iPhone's a little bit more streamlined and Android's a little bit more open, but you can find ways to do much of the same shit on both of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're very
It's
similar.
fact.
And that's kind of what you get with the consoles, even now. Like you can pretty much play what you want to. I mean, granted, PlayStation has its library of exclusives. Xbox has its game. Everybody has their benefits and their pros and cons, but they don't necessarily all have to be like this big blockbuster game. And the funny thing is, even if you disagree with that, we had a point where Xbox got to figure something else out. Like they're not going to swing back hard enough with big exclusive games. Like it's just it's past the time of that.
We're well past that point.
You would have to
And they
straight
know
up,
that. So good for
yeah,
them.
yeah, exactly. And I respect it. They're like, we're gonna try to maximize the value of what we do have over here, not minimize what you can get over there by having everything pulled to us. Like I respect it a lot. It's just such a
Sometimes there is absolutely no honor in still fighting when you get your ass beat.
straight up, honestly, like you need to bow
Not all the
out.
time, but sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes you just
You
gotta let it go.
You need to make sure that it's not a permanent thing. Then that's what's happening here.
Yeah,
They're making sure that whatever little dips they might have, third place in the race right now, like we talked about last episode or whenever we talked about Xbox, it's still a good place to be in, to be quite honest. Like you're making money off of video games and it's a volatile market, I feel like. So can't be mad at it. But I want to keep talking about Xbox a little bit. I want to open the conversation up to just exclusive moments in like gaming history and some of the biggest things that have happened because I feel like we've been down this road in interesting ways before. Like we haven't necessarily seen this happen, but everybody's mind immediately went to the same place when Xbox started talking about that, and that is Sega. Like Sega's transition into being a software-based company was huge at the time. They, I think, started with Nintendo, right? Like Sonic Adventure on a GameCube or Super Monkey, or one of those
yeah,
two.
yeah.
That was
Super
one of the
Monkey Ball.
first.
They went to Super Monkey
Yeah,
Ball. That was a launch title on the GameCube.
that was a launch title, yep. So, and I mean, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was not far behind if it wasn't a launch title as well. So they were,
Classic.
man, fire. Like it worked out so well. It's the best way to play Sonic Adventure 2. So, everybody wins in the end. And look, Sega's here. They're still around. They managed to get
Strong.
after doing this. Yeah, they're the strongest now. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. But just think about the fact that after doing this whole like bowing out of the console race thing, they put out a spin-off series with Mario and Sonic, and they were like on equal footing, like in that game. You know what I mean? Even though whatever happened, like it's like some Nas and Jay-Z shit, like they
Yeah,
might have got on Jay-Z might have signed Nas, but when they got on that stage, it was still Jay-Z and Nas. It wasn't, you know.
yeah, yeah. But the
So
optics, it was the optics with that.
and it's the optics of that GameCube logo over Sonic's little fucking spikes. I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
It's a real thing, but it doesn't matter at the end if you keep pumping out quality products, which Sega's back to. I'm not mad at them. It's funny though because I feel like they're at a place now where they have a strong enough library to exist in the space of like Sega's got Persona, they've got Yakuza, they've got
see, I was gonna
Sonic.
say because we know that the Japanese don't fuck with Microsoft, which is why the Xbox really hasn't ever taken off the way it should.
Mm,
If
mm,
Sega came back with a console, I think they would snatch that third spot up
yeah,
pretty fucking quickly.
they would. And you know what's crazier than that? If Microsoft had bought Sega, that might have been a move. Like you just snatched up all Yakuza games, all Persona games. Oh, yeah, I don't like this green box. Well, you kind of need it now because you can't play fucking
Yeah,
Yakuza without it. Like that would have been kind of a crazy move. That I mean, I'm not saying they should have done it, but if that was their end
it
goal,
also would have resulted in a pretty serious blowback just because the Japanese don't fuck.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't immediately make shit exclusive. I think honestly, putting it on Game Pass in the first place was like their power move on that end. So they were like looking at that. They were seeing and knowing
Yeah, they were
Microsoft.
definitely.
Listen, they thought about it. They thought about buying Nintendo, so they had to think about buying Sega. But didn't happen.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
That was definitely a time. Another interesting example is like Final Fantasy and just how tied to Nintendo it used to be. People do not think of that anymore, but it was such a Nintendo
Dog,
series.
you that is a PlayStation series now.
Yeah,
It
100%.
was not.
To the point where we're about to get Final Fantasy VII remake or rebirth, excuse me. Still not coming to Xbox. Like remake still not on Xbox, and that's crazy to me. That's another
Yeah,
case
that's
where
insane.
I just feel like that benefits nobody though. Personally, like I mean, maybe it benefits Sony. It's probably benefiting them a little
Yeah,
bit, but
it been aware to an extent.
yeah, yeah,
Because I think the important thing is holding on to long-standing relationships in that way. And
facts.
when you know it works, like specifically from a technology standpoint, when you know it works and you don't have to do any extra things with porting
Mm.
and accounting for other ecosystems, I think at some point you just like, look, we've been here 25 years. Let's just keep it going.
That does make sense, man. It's one of those relationships where everybody's always been like, why don't they just buy them? I want to keep bringing it back to acquisitions, and we should not encourage this behavior. But
No,
Sony and Square Enix feels like such a great fit already. Like they already seem exclusive to Sony consoles, even though they're very much not. But I like the way we are. I like the potential of getting things like that. If Final Fantasy VII remains exclusive, that honestly makes a lot of sense just because of the legacy of that game. But 16 needs to come to Xbox. That needs to go to Xbox. I'm gonna put it out there right now. Like that game is bombastic and standalone enough that I feel like it should get like a greatest hits edition a year from now that Xbox players will love. They were really latching onto that game. So that's another one.
yeah, I think when you talking about stuff like that, mainline games should be on both consoles.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just there's
If
no
they
like
ever
I
have.
get seven. Yeah, I get seven being exclusive, like you said, just because the legacy of it, and that's kind of the PlayStation game.
Right.
Um, but yeah, 16, when you get into like the numbered entries, man, just drop it on the other shit too. It's
13
fine. It's
was.
not gonna hurt anyone.
13 was on it. 15 was on it.
I
So
knew there was at least a couple
yeah.
on the Xbox.
If the last two, I mean, single player ones, like 14 is a whole can of worms that I'm not opening. I'm not a 14 player. Please don't
Yeah,
come
we
for me.
not going. Yeah.
Respectfully, I respect anything you're doing over there, but it's not on
And there was an
Xbox for
early
whatever reason.
period where people would have, stayed away from that.
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like at this
It got
point,
better.
yeah, oh man, absolutely. From a Realm Reborn onward, like that I do know. But I'll say 13 and 15 being over there just kind of shows you like it feels right to have those mainline Final Fantasy. And I mean, it's not that it feels wrong to have 16 be a PS5 exclusive. If that stays that way, that's fine. I think it's a huge exclusive. Like that's pretty big for PlayStation right now. But after maybe a year or so, I feel like that one would be able to make that transition.
I think that's the way it should go, though. If we're going to do this exclusivity thing, just do it timed.
Yeah. And
Give it to motherfuckers for a year, and then when the year is up, everybody get it.
that is one of the stipulations that they actually mentioned with the Xbox like showcase that they did or podcast or whatever. Every game that they're talking about bringing to other consoles has been out on Xbox for a year or more. So there you go. Like it's breathed on that console. It's associated with that console. It's funny though, but like there are some cases where I do feel like it's not to the detriment of the game or the console, but I remember thinking BioShock should have stayed exclusive. Like I feel like that felt right on Xbox. I'm not here to gatekeep games from people, but that would have been a very strong series for them to have.
I see what you mean, but I almost feel like it's just sometimes when we say it looks right or feels right on another console, we're really just talking about looking at the box art. Like there's something about the Bioshock box art just don't look right on a PS3 box.
That's facts. That's facts. But like that blue striking above that fucking particular Fallout 3 is in particular is what I'm thinking of. And I know you're right about that, but it's the whole game's aesthetic. Like it's the I mean, look at it like this. Like BioShock is another example. Mass Effect is one that I throw out there all the time. But the third one that I always do mention is Fallout, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. Those felt like Xbox games. They snatched that company up and that felt right. Like we all thought Bethesda fit with the Xbox motif. There are certain games. I'm not saying that everything by these companies should be Xbox exclusive, but I could have seen that being like that, that's their God of War if they still had BioShock. You know what I mean? Like, or at least for that time it
Yeah.
would have been if it was still coming out. Like those are big enough games that they would stop the world if they were like putting them out in that way. Like even Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect is like that's a Zelda moment almost. Like that's a huge RPG that everybody's gonna stop and buy your console to play. So it's interesting to think about what could have been as far as what used to be.
I think my issue with Microsoft has always just been that they never seem to really know what to do with what they have.
Mm,
Like it's almost like they're still like when you see them do their presentations back when E3 was a thing, they're still like they got one foot in like the Windows bag when
mm,
they're trying to sell to people who buy PCs. And it's like, nah, you can do that when you're talking about PC gaming, but when you're talking about console gaming, you need to come over here with us and talk to us like you fucking talking to us.
yeah,
So
I feel
the
that.
way they handle, like, I mean, I talk about Rare all the time. Fuck are they doing? Like,
Yeah,
what's going on at Rare? Because something has to be happening, and I
uh,
just it's been too fucking long,
yeah. I
and I
mean,
feel like
besides Sea
they've
of
done
Thieves,
nothing.
Sea of Thieves
Yeah,
is their baby right now. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
that's
yeah,
it.
it's a weird place that I feel like they always fall into. I don't want to, I'm never here to harp on Microsoft because I think what the fact that they fucking exist is incredible. Like, y'all popped up out of nowhere. I'm still old enough to remember when y'all just was like, yeah, we're doing this too. Oh shit, it's working. Let's keep going. Like, that's the vibe I've always had with Microsoft.
I'm old
Whereas,
enough to remember when I didn't think they knew what the fuck they was doing when I held that controller for the first time.
man, yeah,
That
because
first Xbox, that OG fat.
because that was all
Dog,
about aesthetic. That was like, oh, we're gonna have the big ass console with the big ass controller. And my
the
big ass
beefy ass
hands,
controller.
it works for me. I ain't gonna hold you. I never had a complaint about that fat ass controller. But they
Hate
mastered that
that
shit.
fucking thing.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
But the
Xbox
360 controller, that's an
that
elite controller right there.
mastered controllers. Everybody try to play. Listen, Xbox or PlayStation has always been my preference, just because I'm most familiar with it. But they had to blend in Xbox elements to their controller to
But they had to,
keep up.
I, because I loved the original DualShock.
Hmm.
When I was holding that 360 for that 360 controller for the entire time I had it, and I tried to pick up PS3 controller, I was like, "Ooh, no,
Yeah, yeah,
no, this ain't it."
absolutely. And don't forget that PlayStation almost made an even graver mistake with the PS3 with that fucking boomerang they were about to put out.
Bruh,
That was about to be a mess, bro. Like I don't
that
know if
that
y'all
shit
remember.
was the gaming equivalent of Kobe's Adidas shoe.
Like it should not have happened. Like it's just not supposed to be a thing. And they knew and they stopped it. So
Yeah. They
it's
got right with
it's
the DualShock 4 though.
yep, yep, absolutely. Speaking of that era, man, I always talk about Metal Gear coming to like, I mean, we'll talk about Twin Stakes being like a full remake of a PlayStation exclusive game where if you don't have a Nintendo console, you're not getting this great version of Metal Gear Solid. Like
Right.
that's another crazy ass moment. But even just seeing it on Xbox, that was one that I felt like was fitting. That was actually the moment that the doors opened a little bit. Like Metal Gear Solid and what else was it from that era? Grand Theft Auto. That's what it was. Yep.
Grand Theft Auto,
Those
Splinter Cell too,
that too, yeah. That was coming the other way, absolutely. Splinter Cell was pretty huge.
because
And that
that
was
was an Xbox game.
And that was very much like that could have been their mascot. Like, honest to
Dog,
God,
that could have been their Metal Gear. That was one I still
it
to this day
was.
don't understand them letting rock
Yep.
everywhere else.
But I mean, it's funny because I'm just saying, Metal Gear Solid also jumped to Xbox, and I mean 2 and 3. Like, it wasn't like it was deep in the series. Like, you could play those games on Xbox. You couldn't play 4. So some of it was just kind of tough. In fact, it's kind of hard to play 4 now if you don't have a PS3. So thanks,
That's a fact.
cell processor. But
I still think Sony be using that as a fucking excuse to not do backwards compatibility. I understand that the processor was like a fucking monster,
yeah.
but come on, man.
That was during a
Come
time
on.
when they still needed an excuse. They no longer need one because it's just like
They
it
they
is what
don't.
it
And they try to pass it off with like PS Now and
is.
they
Now,
some of
now
the stuff is on there.
PS5 being pretty much completely backwards compatible with PS4 is, this I'm gonna have no complaints. Like I don't need to play PS3 shit for real on my PS5.
There's a couple PS3 games I do need to play. I will admit that. Like if they were available to me, I would be playing them regularly.
I just feel like I can't think of one that's not remade or remastered. Like they're all, but you're right, that is how they get around that shit.
Did you play Brink?
Oh man, wow, like
Overwatch before
2013.
Overwatch.
Okay, yeah, that Brink. You know what, man?
Yes.
I remember the whole lead up to Brink, and I swear to God, I remember booting the game up and then I black out. Like I don't remember a second of playing that
Oh,
game.
I
Was
love
it?
that game so fucking
Okay.
much. You have
Okay.
no idea how much I love that game.
Man, okay. I respect that one because that one I remember
And
being a
honestly,
big deal.
if I could afford the higher tiers of PS Plus, I would have it just for that.
Wasn't Brink like changed? Wasn't it one of those cases where it was like a generic looking ass shooter and then they changed it to make it, like you said, like Overwatch type vibes? Or was it in reverse?
So it wasn't necessarily that it was generic looking.
Mm,
The issue was, and this is going to sound like defending it more than criticizing it, but it was ahead, way too ahead of its time. Like I said, it was Overwatch before Overwatch, and
right.
the movement and stuff, like all of that shit was cool. The problem was is that the gunplay just felt like throwing paper clips at people.
Okay.
And that
Okay.
was the thing that kind of held it back. But if you could like get past that, the game itself, the gameplay loop was fire. It was just the gunplay just felt like really light.
Yeah, and that can be a big hindrance.
But yeah, man, like the feeling of that can really throw you the fuck off of a shooting game, and
Oh
you
yeah.
just don't want to play it. And I think had they fixed that aspect of it, man, we still be talking about that shit. Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the only one talking about that shit. I should say that.
Right, right. Nah, but that's one of those like called classics type of games. You're right. There are a few of those just kind of hidden around there. And we're blessed to be in an era where they're kind of starting to move things over. Like I'm just glad that exclusivity hell is a good conversation to talk about. Like games that are trapped on consoles because they were exclusive. Like I'm just glad that we got Gravity Rush 1 and 2 ported over because those are random ass games. I didn't even finish them, but I just love those games. Like they're PS Vita games originally, and I thought they were going to live and die there. They sold me on the Vita just because it looks so fucking cool and animated out. And then now it's getting a movie apparently, which is crazy. Like blows my fucking mind.
I know, right? It's
Yeah,
very
like
random.
of all the properties, respect like that fits as far as like anime movie vibe. But yeah, certain games kind of do get trapped on consoles. Like
Bayonetta
Luigi's
3.
Mansion, man, Bayonetta 3. I mean, Bayonetta is lucky because Nintendo. I mean, two rather, right?
I mean,
Because two
Nintendo
was
did save it. Yeah,
yeah,
Nintendo saved. Yeah, two. Yeah, two was on there too.
yeah, yeah,
Nintendo
yeah.
saved the franchise, but everybody should get to play both of those games. They're fucking incredible. I
They
love
really are.
Bayonetta so much.
They really are. I'm this I think it was last year that I finally booted up one and I'm like, I'm gonna go through the series because I never really went through the series. I just picked up games every now and then. I'm gonna play through that whole entire series, probably on Switch. But
It's so fun.
yeah, those are pretty big ones. Damn, I had one in mind, but I can't remember it. There's a few examples that are particularly egregious where you just can't pick it. Oh, Luigi's Mansion 2 is actually coming to Switch this year, so that's pretty dope. That was one that was trapped on 3DS. But the real crime of 3DS is that you can't play those remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask
Yep,
anywhere
I was
else.
about to say that.
That's the crime of that
I was about
console,
to say,
man. Because they're the best ways to play that game. Like it's
bruh, graphics look like the fucking like the concept art.
yeah,
It's it's
man,
perfect. It was perfect, and they're just stuck there for all eternity. If you don't have a 3DS, you're fucked,
it's sad.
and that's the
One
worst.
one thing I might have to throw in this episode is a picture of the Majora's Mask artwork because I swear to God, it's the coldest motherfucking artwork I've ever seen. Like,
Oh yeah, the concept art on Majora's Mask, the
bro,
heavy shadowing.
3D.
Yeah.
Bro, that not even that one. Like I'm talking about the Majora's Mask 3D like cover art where he's like got the mask, that half mask over
Oh,
his
he's got the
face.
mask pulling it down.
Moon is
Yeah.
behind him. Yep. The sickest fucking. Why would you go so hard on this? Like the OG game was just the mask and some colors. I don't know why they went ham
You
like
do
that.
you remember when we didn't think we were getting that one? Like we got Ocarina of Time 3D, and
Yeah,
it seemed like we had to beg for Majora's Mask
because
3D.
Majora's Mask is the black sheep of the family for some reason. Like it's the only. It was the only direct sequel of its ilk until Tears of the Kingdom. So we didn't think they was going to acknowledge that shit. I'm not gonna lie, but
Nah.
it was needed and it was fantastic. I love it. Speaking of Zelda games being trapped on consoles, give us Wind Waker HD, please,
And Twilight
please,
Princess.
and Twilight Princess. But goddamn,
Because
Wind
at this
Waker,
point, both of them are Wii U casualties, and that's
they
the
are.
worst. That's the worst crime of all. We don't even associate them with the GameCube anymore. They're fucking
Man,
Wii U
listen,
casualties.
it's over. Zombie U lost his whole letter. That joint lost his whole gimmick moving over to
Dog.
other consoles. It's sad. Why would you play that? I mean, no disrespect to the people that made that game, but
All
like,
right, so no, Zombie was fire.
I
That
know, I know, but it's like that was my thing. Like you it took the whole U out the shit. Wasn't that the whole thing about the thing? Like I, I'm sad for them.
I look that console was that's the first beta console that went mass market. Like
Facts,
we all got hold on
facts.
it.
Wow,
We should probably hold Nintendo's feet to the fire for that one because we all got hold
bro.
collectively
If
on
you had
that.
a Wii U, I want you to think about holding that controller. Didn't it feel a little too light? Like that shit did kind
Ah,
of feel like some I mean, no, Nintendo is always known
no,
for its
no, that it
hardware.
felt light as hell, dog. It felt like holding a
Yeah,
football.
yeah. Like it was like this is the only thing that Nintendo's ever made that I felt was breakable, and that's just crazy.
I was scared to death to get like you get in the middle of some intense gameplay, and man,
Man, get the grip
I
in that drink. Oh man, that was a. But honestly, man, if we had to go through that route to get the Switch, I'll take it.
that's what I'm saying. They beta tested us, man.
Yep, yep. All them joints was all those Wii U games was just Switch demos. Now, bring the
You
goddamn
know what?
demos over.
No, hold up, because this game, and I will die on this hill
Hmm.
multiple times over. Bring me back. I will die on it again and repeat the fucking process. OG Red Steel on the Wii.
Okay. Yeah.
I need a remake.
Yeah, nah. Red
I
Steel was
don't need the
fire.
motion controls. Red Steel was fucking incredible.
Really, because I liked the motion control. I liked that they worked and that the game was
No, I'm
still
saying
fire
no.
with
What
it.
I'm saying is I don't. They don't have to
They
like
don't have to
shoehorn them
have them.
into
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
where
yeah.
they go. Well, the only way we could bring it back is with the motion. No, no. You
Nah.
can figure something out. You did it with Metroid Prime.
Did it
Figure
with
something
Skyward
out.
Sword. Yeah.
Did it with Skyward Sword. Figure something out. Bring that game back.
That
The
game was
original
fire.
one was very fucking good. I like two, but they went away from like the neo noir like
Yeah,
Tokyo shit and jumped into like the
different.
Western shit. And I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't nothing like that OG Red Steel.
Different vibe. So I feel you on that. Look, the Wii, I knew that we were going to go through this with the Wii. Where I'm surprised that we got so much shit from the Wii ported over to other stuff that we did. Like, because I thought
Yeah.
everything was just going to be trapped behind Waggle World. You know, like you gotta. It's crazy.
Wii
Like,
Motion Plus. They
man,
made
man,
everybody buy that shit.
they made this shit more complicated. How you? That was like the smallest hardware update ever. Like, just
Dog,
add this
I've
little
never seen DLC for a controller. That shit
facts.
was the fucking.
And that's crazy because it
I'm telling
really,
you, dog.
really.
Nintendo hold us 2 generations in a row.
But listen, in their defense, that shit was way better. Like that joint,
No, it was absolute improvement
they
over it. It's
really
just wild that they dropped DLC for a controller and nobody fucking blinked.
straight up and down, they would have been way better off dropping a whole new console and just having that built into the controller. And that was the Wii too. And instead of doing the Wii U, they just like this is a better Wii. And
Yeah,
honestly, I think they would have been good. But then we would have had like four of them hoes by now. And I'm glad we didn't go down that route. So
that's true.
can't complain too much, man. But I don't want to, wrap it up without getting our final thoughts on. You got anything final that you want to say on this Xbox issue, on exclusives in general? Like, how you feeling about the state of games?
Man, look, they basically kind of hyped the podcast thing up like
Yeah,
we were going to get answers and we didn't get like real answers. Because I mean, he wouldn't even name the 4 games that were coming, which I
that
thought
was
was weird
that was a
because it
lot.
wasn't like saying what games they are isn't ruining anything for the developers. I don't believe that to be the case,
Yeah,
but it was just weird the way he was kind of going about it. It was almost like the shit that we were hearing was true, and they're trying to like trickle it out. Because
right.
if they came out in that podcast and basically admitted everything that we heard was true, then the like shareholders and all like the stocks drop on that shit
Right.
because then it's like, what the fuck is the point of an Xbox?
Yeah, so they
So
had to kind of drip feed it to
I
it, like you said, but
that's what I get it to an extent, but damn, you could have like been a little more, just a little more open in that,
yeah, yeah,
even with just those four. Like I
it's
get leaving it
right,
there, but
right. That was weird. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like, if you're gonna tell us that it's 4 games, we already have a litany of games. Like, if it's the only thing I can think of is if it's bigger games than I expect it to be. Because if it's Pentiment, Sea of Stars, Hi-Fi Rush, and Grounded, like everybody suspected it to be, that makes sense. And you could say that, and I'd be like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. We're putting games that make sense on
yeah,
other consoles on other consoles. Now I'm like, oh shit, is it Halo? Like, like, is it really Gears? Like, it might be Gears. Like, it's now you're just leaving speculation open to everyone, which is the worst place for gamers.
yeah, and then you make it worse, especially when you're kind of in a position where you're trailing,
Yeah,
in a sense.
yeah,
Now you're opening it up to like that idiotic gamer disappointment. Like
yep.
I hate that shit because motherfuckers get it up in their head bigger than what it actually is,
And get a lot
and
of
then they want to get
entitlement.
mad
Yeah.
at everybody else. So
It's
they
the
kind of
worst.
opening themselves up to some shit they don't really want.
It sucks. I do appreciate them saying that it's not Starfield and it's not Indiana Jones. So it's not their last big exclusive nor their next big exclusive. So that's something. But I don't know, man. I guess we'll wait and see. Find out exactly what Xbox is planning to do. Let us know what you guys think the games might be that they're bringing to these other consoles and how excited you are to possibly try them out for the first time. Because I think they fit pretty well. Like I'm actually pretty excited. And definitely leave us some comments down below. We want to hear from you guys. We love hearing your feedback and how much you're enjoying or not enjoying the show. I'll take it. Just let us know. But like and subscribe. It's all
Facts.
good. Yeah, definitely hit us with some feedback on Twitter as well. We are on Twitter at Eclipse Theory and on Instagram at Eclipse.theory. We want to hear from you guys because we are making this a show for you. But until next time, I'm Kendall. This is Tony, and make sure you keep getting